discussions with Zimple Digital. My name's Garth. I have Glenn with me here again today to talk about a fun subject called conversion tracking. And we're going to talk about conversion tracking, what is conversion tracking, why it's important, and basically why, if you're not really using it, you're sort of just throwing your campaign money down the drain. So yeah, welcome Glenn.
Thank you, Garth.
And I guess, the first question for everybody listening and potential clients and people that are looking into that digital domain to market is, what is conversion tracking? What are we talking about when we talk about conversion tracking?
Yeah. So conversion tracking is a tool that we can use on a platform such as Google Analytics, for example, that allows us to understand people's activities on your website. So, there's different types of conversions that we can track. The most obvious ones that people track are, a contact form being filled in, or a telephone click to call being hit. They're the most common ones, and they're what we call hard conversions, because essentially they result in some sort of contact with your business. So we like those. But there's a lot of other conversions you can track, which help in identifying, your customer journey on your website. Some of the things that we can track is, people that download a brochure, people that watch a video, people that, sign up to your newsletter. They're all what we would call like softer conversions, where, they're not actually engaging with you just yet, but they're happy enough with what they've seen to want to find out a little bit more. So those softer engagements, we would consider conversions as well, that can help paint a bit of a picture of the customer journey for us. So what I mean by customer journey, that first time that they enter the site, or the second time they enter the site, they might read a few pages, download a brochure, move on to the sort of like a research or a consideration phase, but then say, I might go back to that website and have a look, and then you might see a harder conversion coming from that, where they ask you a question on a form or click on the phone number, that sort of thing. Yeah. So,
Okay. I guess an interesting side note to that, and a question from pretty much everybody would probably want to ask this question in terms of conversion tracking, is what can be tracked, and I guess where are the limits on that tracking, and I guess some things that people are worried about being tracked are actually really helpful for companies to track, because then they can offer something that's much more relevant to the potential buyer or that potential client. So what can be tracked, and what are the limits of what can't be tracked, I guess?
Absolutely. I think the answer in the simplest format is anything that involves client behavior on a website, or prospects behavior on a website, can be tracked. So I'm talking about as simple as a click on a button or a selection on a navigation tool can actually be tracked. I think what the real question needs to be asked is, what is going to be important for my marketing activity? So, if, for example, you are placing two options on a page, being able to track both those options and seeing which one is more popular, that is worth tracking. So you can make a better decision that in the future, when you're releasing these types of products, you will lean towards one color or one shape in order to better deliver that user experience. So in its simplest format, most things can be tracked, but always think about what you are trying to achieve in order to get the best results. I mean, e-commerce is one of the greatest examples of tracking that can be created. That whole situation of putting something into your shopping cart, and then filling in the address details, moving on to the checkout, moving on to the purchase. I mean, they're all different steps that can be tracked. So e-commerce have this sort of experience where they can actually see, okay, I've got 100 people through to the shopping cart. However, I lost 50% of them. Only 50% went through to the address field, and then I lost another 20 when I went through to the checkout field. So what's happened between there? So, is it a question of shipping? Is our shipping prices too much? Or, is there something in that experience that's not working? So we can then best try and understand and make changes to improve those results. So e-commerce is a really good example of how event and conversion tracking can work.
Yeah, and I guess that touches on the other topic that we were going to talk about, is that why it is so important. Like if you are not tracking those steps and you're an e-commerce client and you're not tracking those steps and you think that those 20 sales a month are great, when in reality you've lost the 90 sales a month because of something that's happening within those steps that you're not aware of. Absolutely. I guess that's a part of why it's so important.
Yeah, for sure. So it goes beyond it goes beyond just that simple conversion. That's how it's termed, to actually really understanding. My customers are actually having a poor experience at this particular stage. I want to avoid that. I want to increase one thing, my results, but however I want to increase and improve that experience. So again, these customers can start promoting me word of mouth wise as well. So there's so many other reasons outside of just that solid conversion as to why tracking a whole bunch of events on your site is important. And also the thing that we look at as well is sometimes it takes 2, 3, 10, 15 visits before someone makes a decision to do something with your business. So understanding that user journey, so like how many times did they download a brochure or watch a video before they actually filled in a form? Absolutely. We really need to understand that. Can we shorten that in any way? Can we improve that time frame, or do we give them more? How do we help them make that decision quicker? So understanding what people do, the behavior, is just as important as the conversion. And
I guess just on that as well, like it might not even just be visits to the site. It might be we've tracked them, sort of they've watched a video on Facebook and then they've, followed us on Instagram and they've engaged through that medium and then gone to the website from our Instagram bio, and we can track all those steps through to a conversion of whatever that might be.
Absolutely.
And I guess that leads into sort of another discussion, another topic around sort of that allows clients and campaign like advertisers to get a really good handle on cost per acquisition. So if we're setting up campaigns, that cost per acquisition number is a lot clearer if we've got that conversion tracking in place.
Yep, for sure. It can be extended even further to, if you've got an e-commerce site, you can actually do those full, cost per acquisition numbers straight away and really get a good understanding. If you're a B2B or offering a service offline, understanding how much of that conversion actually translates to a sale and tracking that internally is also really important. Because there is always that opportunity to improve that number as well, and that feeds back up to what we do digitally. So if we've provided you 50 leads this month and you only converted 2, there might be a sales challenge. However, are we providing you the right thing? So let's look at that as well. For sure.
And I guess on the client side as well, like I know we've spoken before in terms of the offline conversion part as well. So if we've got the conversion tracking set up and then it leads into something like a retail or a brick and mortar store client, so we may be providing data up until that point, and then it's really important as well for them, I guess, to have that data capture physically as well to count, whether it be sales or clients through the door or something similar.
For sure. And there's definitely movement in that field for being able to track the full buyer cycle from the moment that they first find your business, whether that's through social, through a search, to that very point where they hand that money over the counter at a register. There's definitely ways that can fully be tracked to actually get a really good understanding of where to find that customer, what they're doing when they engage with you digitally, and how they get in contact with you. So the full scope could potentially be tracked to a very great degree. I've seen it happen. Yeah.
I guess we've sort of clarified why it is important to track conversion or conversion tracking in terms of website and social and brick and mortar even. I guess for those people who haven't got any conversion tracking in place, we've sort of touched on that if you don't have any conversion tracking, you're sort of running blind almost. You're doing all of the steps, or you may be doing it perfectly, but like you said, the client may be having a bad experience at step 5 and you really have no idea.
Yep.
I guess for those people who don't have any conversion tracking in place, what would be some of the more simple or the easiest ones to put in place quickly and easily so they can sort of get a start on that conversion tracking and get an idea of what's going on with their business?
Yep. If you're running Google Analytics, essentially some of the events are already being tracked automatically. Those events are your form submissions, your click to phone calls. They're already being tracked. There is still a few steps in place you need to formalize it within your Google Analytics and make it understand, because you might have multiple forms on your site, but you might only want to track 1 or 2 of them. A whole bunch of things like that. So, but that part of it is relatively easy to set up. For the more sort of customer behavior, understanding their activities on the page, that sort of thing, that might require a little bit more from someone that has a bit more digital marketing nuance, or your developer, to be able to actually just make sure that you're tracking the right events, you're not doubling up, that sort of thing as well. So, but yeah, I mean, there is some simple things that you can do from the word go. Google Analytics has a great e-commerce module that you can just add on, which is free, and it links into with your CMS and tracks everything from the dollar spend as well to individual. So that can all be added in as well. So there's definitely a lot of scope. But yeah, if you wanted to start with something simple, there's definitely a few things that you can get going with.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, I think both Garth and I have reiterated the importance and the whys and the why nots. It really comes down to, understanding what it is that you want to track and the benefits it's going to provide, and then just getting in there, setting that up, and reviewing, whatever, monthly, weekly, whatever time you need to find the opportunities, find the gaps where business is falling off, and looking at building on those opportunities. Yep. Great. Thanks for having us.
Thanks very much. Thanks for listening to Digital Discussions with Zimple Digital. If you want to know more about what we do, just head to www.zimple.digital.